world. This is the Fan and Fanatic Podcast. I'm Parker Gerlecki, aka the Fan and Fanatic, and with me as always is my broadcast partner,
Dad,
aka Ryan Gerlecki. I've got a passion for all things sports. So, on the Fan and Fanatic Podcast, we'll talk to anyone and everyone from all over the world of sports who will sit still long enough to answer my questions.
that's right. Now, as a result of complications from severe brain damage at birth, unfortunately, Parker will never be able to physically play sports, but that cannot and has never stopped him from loving everything about sports and dreaming of a career in broadcasting. So each of our guests graciously gives of their time on this podcast to invest in Parker's dream and to help him be part of the sports world he loves so dearly.
Now, let's play ball! Welcome back, Fanatic Addicts, to the Fan and Fanatic Podcast. It's my absolute honor to introduce my guest today. All-around cool dude, former writer for Mississippi, for HailState.com. Is that the athletics website? Is that right? HailState.com?
Yeah.
And current writer for On3 Sports in the Starkville, Mississippi area, Mr. Tanner Marlar. So, Mr. Marlar, let's start off by telling everyone who you are, where you're from, and your connection to the world of sports.
Okay, my name's Tanner Marlar. I grew up in Corinth, Mississippi. I grew up a Mississippi State fan and went to Mississippi State for my undergraduate degree. Graduated in May, and now am working on my master's degree, also at Mississippi State, while working for On3 Sports, Maroon and White Daily. We provide day-to-day coverage of Mississippi State athletics, whether it be on the gridiron, the court, on the diamond. Every bit of recruiting information you could ever want across all three major sports is right there at Maroon and White Daily, and I'm just thankful and blessed to be a part of that. We also host a message board, so I try to keep my fingers on the pulse of the fan base as much as possible.
So, do you, like, I know that when you wrote for, HailState.com, you covered all the sports. Is that what, Maroon and White Daily does? Do they do like do they write like like Mississippi State, like HailState.com, they'll write post-game articles about like the different athletic events around MSU. Is that what is that what Maroon and White Daily does?
So I worked for the Reflector when I was in undergrad and covered every single major sport, and that's the student paper. Then I went to work while I was in undergrad for the Sports Illustrated site, Cowbell Corner. There's some great people over there now. Graduated and got an offer slid across my desk from Shannon Terry and Paul Jones at Maroon and White Daily to come and help out with their coverage of things. And that's where I've been ever since. We started October 1st. We're up to 1,000 paid subscribers, and we've got probably 30 to 40,000 subscribers to our free message board. So you do the math there. Every article's got a chance to reach, tens of thousands of people. But we cover mainly all three major sports. And then we'll cover women's basketball religiously. We cover as much as we can in the spring, softball. We're only 2 dudes, about to be 3 come January. So we get stretched thin at times, especially here lately with the state of affairs at Mississippi State. But we cover just about everything we can over at Maroon and White Daily, yeah.
So was Zach Arnett promoted to head coach, or has he always been the interim coach?
So Zach Arnett, obviously, you kind of want to back up and get the full scope of it too. It was actually a year ago today. Mike Leach tragically passed away.
Oh my goodness!
So when you look back on that, it was at such a bad time. It's a bad time for anything like that to happen, obviously. But as far as the coaching carousel was concerned, it was a bad time to have to look for a head coach. And National Signing Day was only a few weeks away. The state had to keep a recruiting class together, so they decided to hire from within and go with Zach Arnett. That tenure lasted 10 games into this season, and he was let go by Mississippi State. And obviously now they have hired Jeff Lebby.
Are you familiar with the MSU 2K? The Mississippi State famous MSU 2K by the Mississippi State famous Maroon band.
Oh,
they
the
play,
song, yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. M. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. S. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. U. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. MSU, which is then followed by Hail State, I believe. The fight song.
It is. I used to
that-
sing that. I sang that in the bleachers a lot when I was an undergrad.
That is probably one of my favorite college marching band songs. But anyways, did you major in broadcasting at MSU?
So I actually majored in print. I was a print and digital journalism major in undergrad. That's what I got my bachelor's in. My master's is in just communications. But in undergrad, I was actually in print. So I worked in newspaper a lot. That's where I got my start. Like most sports writers, and have kind of picked up broadcast along the way. It's become almost a necessity in this modern landscape to be able to do everything. So if you can write, broadcast, and stand in front of a camera, you can do just about anything, and that's what employers want these days.
Can I ask you a question about the cowbells? Are you only allowed? Is every fan only allowed to bring one cowbell?
Now, you can bring as many cowbells on Davis Wade as you want.
So I can bring 2 cowbells, 1 cowbell for each hand?
Absolutely. The more the merrier.
I have the one that you gave me, and then I also have another one. So, but I didn't get to use them because we were sitting in the Auburn section. So I've been talking about coming back to Starkville ever since that Auburn game.
Absolutely.
Which
you can ring them as loud as you want, both of them.
But there are some times in which you cannot ring said cowbells, like when
when the opposing team's center has his hand on the balls when you have to stop ringing. After he snaps it, you can go ahead. But when the opposing team's center,
what about when Mississippi State's center has the ball?
Usually that's a pretty quiet time anyway, because they want the quarterback and the head coach to get the call in correctly. But usually it's pretty quiet during when State is on the field, unless they score or make a big play.
So being a journalist, do you get connected with like various athletes and whatnot across Mississippi State, like the athletes and or broadcasters, like the voice of the Bulldogs, Neil Price? Okay, so Neil Price is. I'm going to correct myself. Neil Price is the voice of the Bulldogs, but Jack Crystal is the voice of the Bulldogs.
Yeah. And Neil, I'm lucky enough that I know Neil very well, and Neil will tell you that Jack Crystal is one of the best to ever do it in this business. But Neil's a fantastic guy. But as far as getting to know athletes, absolutely, you really do get to know the athletes. I think back to when I first started covering Mississippi State, Jet Johnson and Buki Watson were just starting out their playing careers at Mississippi State. Obviously, they just wrapped up. But Buki Watson turned into what, in my opinion, should have been the defensive player of the year in all of college football. And Jet Johnson is right there with him in terms of tackling numbers and everything like that. So you definitely get close to guys, especially guys that stay their full tenure at the school, and you cover them for multiple years. And you get to watch their games progress and their skill sets progress. You get to watch them grow as not only players, but as young men too. And I think it's a really special aspect that I'm the same age as them, and I feel like a lot of us have grown together, and that's been a really cool experience.
I think one of my uncles is related to Jet Johnson by chance.
It's possible. It's possible. Jet's a fantastic guy.
What do you do? Are you doing anything Super Bulldog weekend? You know what Super Bulldog weekend is, right?
Oh yeah. I'll probably be working baseball that weekend. That's usually a big baseball series they schedule that for. But if you can make it out Super Bulldog weekend, do it, because seeing Duty Noble fully packed is an experience.
Yeah, maybe see you. Maybe I'll see you at the Dude, and heck, maybe we can watch the Maroon and White game together, and maybe we can make it out to a game next fall. Wait, question. Kentucky is is Mississippi State's currently they're their permanent cross division rival, but now everything's changing with Oklahoma and Texas joining and no divisions. Do they get to keep do they get to keep does the SEC schedule work out where Mississippi State gets to keep the Kentucky game?
So Mississippi State is not going to keep the Kentucky game. Mississippi State is going to keep Ole Miss, and that's really it for now. Next season, I think Kentucky's not on the schedule. And, I think about other big games for Mississippi State. As long as I've been alive, Mississippi State has opened the season or opened SEC play, with an LSU game. It's usually the first or second SEC game. So there are a lot of games next year that are going to be kind of going by the wayside for Mississippi State and all across the SEC. These teams that we've seen match up year in and year out. But the rival game is staying. Ole Miss is staying. And other than that, I think it's pretty much all to the wind and will all change.
Is Kentucky Mississippi State, is that a rivalry or is that just?
I wouldn't call it as much of a rivalry. They definitely don't like each other.
Or it just so happens that Kentucky is Mississippi State's permanent conference rival.
It's more like it's just one that State has to match up with every year. Everybody here knows the rivalry is not with anybody outside of the state of Mississippi. The rivalry in Starkville is Ole Miss, and it's the same for Ole Miss. Their one rivalry matchup every year really is Mississippi State and the battle for the Magnolia State, the Golden Egg. That's the one that everybody cares about here. But as far as Kentucky goes for State, it had become almost a tradition. And it's been such a close matchup over the last few years until this past season. Mississippi State hadn't given up a win at home to Kentucky since a long time ago. But on the flip side of that, Dak Prescott was the last quarterback to win for Mississippi State at Kroger Field. So it's been a really tight matchup these past few years. And to see those kind of games go away is, I think, where this new schedule can be faulted just a little bit.
So I have a feeling like Auburn's still going to have to play Georgia and Alabama every single year because, those are two of the biggest and best rivalries in all of SEC football.
I know they'll have to play Alabama every year. I don't think they'll have to play Georgia every year.
Which honestly, not thinking about Oklahoma and Texas joining, that's going to make the Red River rivalry 10 times better. And speaking of Texas, I'm gonna ask your opinion on the rankings. Do you think Florida State got snubbed?
Well, when you look at the College Football Playoff Committee's actual bylaws, and thankfully I get to talk about this a lot because Mark Keenum, the president of Mississippi State, used to be the chair of the College Football Playoff Committee. Now, when you look at their bylaws, it says that they have to take into account or that they can take into account the absence of key players or coaches. And when you talk about a key player, I don't know if there's a more key player in the country than Jordan Travis, because you could watch that Louisville game and tell that, hey, this Florida State team can't hang with Alabama. This Florida State team right now probably couldn't hang with a Texas. This Florida State team definitely couldn't hang with a Georgia or even a Michigan right now. So you factor that in with the absence of Jordan Travis. Then on top of that, you look at the rest of the field. When you have Alabama, who just won an SEC title, beat the consensus, I would say the pretty consensus number one team in the country in Georgia. Yep. And then Texas with the head-to-head over them with the exact same record, the exact same resume, and a conference championship. I always said, and I said this throughout the entire process, if you put Bama in and it's any higher than 4, you've got to put Texas in. And that's exactly what happened. Bama goes in at 2 or 3 and Texas immediately follows. So no, I think the committee got it right. I do. I hate it for Florida State. I hate it for Jordan Travis. I hate it for all the Noles fans out there. But I think it would be leading them to the slaughter if they tried to play in that kind of environment without Jordan Travis.
So I have a question. So like the Mississippi State logo for years used to be a maroon M with like the word Mississippi State scrolled across. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the M State banner.
Like state, and then did the banner across the M say Mississippi State or just state?
So it was just an M, and then the banner said state.
Did they? And now, I've seen their the script state logo, if you will, or cursive.
Yeah,
state.
they've got a couple now. They've got a couple.
They change
the
their
logo? The script state logo is making kind of its entrance. You saw that used a lot in football this year. The M over S is a classic in baseball. That's not going anywhere anytime soon. And then the stack Mississippi State is kind of what the basketball team is rolling with, where it's just Mississippi and then state.
Oh yeah, like scroll, but like, oh yeah, and then, but then like, but the classic M logo is not going anywhere, right?
They're trying to phase it out. They're definitely trying to phase it out. And my dogs have just gotten in the house, so you have to forgive me if you hear them panting.
Are they bulldogs or are they what breed?
No, I've got a German Shepherd and then a mutt. The mutt has got to be part Doberman and part Great Dane because he's huge.
You know, it doesn't. You know, I'm surprised you don't have a bulldog. You know what? I'm also surprised.
Bulldogs are a little messy.
I do have a question though. So when I was at the game, so when I was at that Auburn Mississippi State game, I was given behind the scene. I was given access from one of my grandfather's good friends, Strat Keratosis, who I believe my grandfather connected you with him when we were.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyhow, so behind, like with that access, I got to meet the two bullies. You know, the costume bully, and then the live bully. So when I went down to pet the live bully, I turned to the handler and I said, "He's not gonna bite me, is he?" Because you remember that picture a few years ago when Georgia played Auburn and that Auburn player scored the touchdown and Uga jumped up and started biting and snapping at the guy.
Yeah, no. Dak is the new bully's named Dak, and Dak is a very friendly fella. He's a sweet pup. He's great. I get the chance to hang out with Dak a good bit, and I love it every time.
How long has Dak been the new bully?
I want to say Dak was introduced at last year's homecoming game. This is his first full season as bully, so he's a fairly young fella.
Was that before the 2022 Auburn game or after the 2022 Auburn game?
I believe that would have been before. So you might have gotten to pet the old bully.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, cool. So anyways, what is your favorite part of your job? And by the way, I'm sorry I've gone on all these tangents. But anyways, what is the favorite part of your job?
My favorite part of the job is most definitely the people you meet. When you're around college athletics all the time, you get to be around some of the most hyper-competitive people in the world. And that doesn't just mean the athletes. That means the coaches, the staff, the people that work in the building. Everybody's competitive because we all want to win. And when you cover an environment like that, you become just as competitive yourself. And it's kind of a bond you form. Almost like the same bond you form with your teammates of a sports team that you might have played on. So the people I meet and the people I get to interact with, definitely my favorite part of the job. And it's always somebody new. You know, college sports beats are revolving doors of people. Everybody wants to move up. Everybody wants to move around. So no 2 years is packed with the same crew, but it's definitely the people you meet along the way that kind of stand out and those connections that you get to make.
So a little thing I probably didn't tell you about me when we've met is I'm very fascinated by voiceover, so have you ever heard the Mississippi State broadcast like, "Let's go back to blah 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 blah," alongside blah blah blah? Here's the voice of the Bulldogs, Neil Price.
Yeah.
Do you by any chance know the guy who is the voice of the Mississippi State Sports Network from Learfield? Well, not the voice, but the guy that does the voiceover for like the promos and then the stingers and
I actually don't know the guy who voices the stingers. I would bet that's a Learfield guy.
Yeah,
probably doesn't work around me. He probably does all the stingers.
He probably does all the stingers for all. Like a stinger's like, "Let's go back to insert stadium name here alongside blah blah blah. Here's the voice of the blah 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 blah." That's a stinger.
Yeah.
So, because like I actually know the guy that does the stingers for the Auburn Sports Network, and he had a bunch of old scripts. And what he does with his scripts is after he uses them, he tosses them in the old shredder and then recycles them. And his neighbors pick out the root through the recycling. So you know what I said? I said, "I'll take your scripts off your hand." So, because I have a feeling that what I'm going with is I have a feeling that if you do know the guy that did Learfield, I would probably and we got connected. I said I would take his scripts off his hand. I would probably get so many scripts, considering the fact that it's the same guy that does the voice across the Learfield, across the stations that use Learfield. Sorry, I gotta stop being so greedy. But anyways, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine, buddy.
Anyways, but I'm sorry. I'm not trying. This is supposed to be about you, but I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry. All right. All right. Back to you. So, what is your favorite tradition at MSU?
Oh, cowbells. Not even close. Cowbells are awesome. It makes Mississippi State the most unique place to watch a college football game in the country, in my opinion. And they're loud. They're so loud. But as far as basketball goes, there's different traditions for every sport. Basketball, my favorite used to be they would take the newspapers that the student paper would print, and that would be what they would read while the opposing starting lineups were being announced. Baseball is by far singing Garth Brooks' "Friends in Low Places" at the bottom of the eighth.
I got friends in low places. Where the wait, what is it? What's the next part? Where the something about whiskey and oases and whatnot?
Yeah, where the whiskey drowns and the beer chases.
Where the whiskey drowns and the beer chases away. And then what about the bit about Oasis? What's that bit?
Oh, that's earlier. But yeah, they sing that at the bottom of every eighth inning, and at the Dude. And when it's a packed house, it's awesome.
Do they sing the great? Do they by any chance sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" in the middle of the seventh inning?
No, at the stretch. Yeah, at the stretch they do. I'm sorry. Yeah, they do at the stretch.
And I believe at Mississippi State football games, they sing "Don't Stop Believin'" by Journey.
They used to. They kind of got rid of "Don't Stop Believin'." Now they do like this Lady Gaga remix in the fourth quarter. It's kind of fun, though.
Do they? So, maybe I'll have to come back out to Starkville, but actually sit in the Mississippi State section so I can give my cowbells a whirl, because like I said, I was sitting in the visiting team section, so I couldn't ring the cowbells. By the way, fun fact. So actually, funny story. Do you remember when BYU played Mississippi State a few years ago?
I do, yeah.
It just so happens that BYU has cowbells as well, so
they do. They do.
I bet
now, they can't ring them as loud as State does, but they do have them. It's one of their things. Of course, BYU's got a lot of.
I also believe that that the Mississippi State fans were handing out ice cream to the BYU fans. Is that a thing they do? They hand out.
Now, BYU, if you go to a BYU game, the fans hand out ice cream to you. So if it's at BYU, they hand out ice cream to you. Mississippi State hands out ice cream in the press box to all the media members.
Because I saw them handing out something like a delectable treat to the to the BYU fans. Oh, and speaking of concessions, I am kind of a slushy connoisseur, and
okay.
I don't know if so. And I think since we saw each other last, I got braces. Well, so I mean, I did get braces, but I can't remember if it was before or after I think it was after we met. But so I was worried I couldn't have slushies anymore. So I asked the orthodontist, and I can. So my question to you is, do you know if they serve slushies at Davis Wade?
Ooh, I don't know. See, I usually don't do concessions. We usually get fed in the box. Oh, gosh, that's tough. I'm sure they do, though. I know they serve ice cream. They have to serve ice cream. So why wouldn't they serve slushies?
Oh, my goodness. I just had a really random memory. So you remember that? So I believe the Friday night that we were in Starkville together, we went out to one of the local restaurants, Super Bulldog Burger. And Bulldog Burger. And then once we left, and then I brought that binder full of rosters to show you, and I had left it at the restaurant, and I didn't realize it until the next day because I wanted to show our friend Strat, and I was like friggin' panicking. So then my grandfather gave you a call, and then you gave Super Bulldog Burger a call, and then Bulldog. I don't know why I keep calling it Super Bulldog Burger, and then you gave Bulldog Burger a call, and it turns out they did have the book, and I was like, yes.
Yeah, we got your book back. We got it. We got the book back. We got all the rosters in there. We were good to go.
And I believe you mentioned that you keep a repertoire of all the rosters of all the games that you go to.
Yeah, I keep all my rosters filed, especially high school stuff. Like when I go out to broadcast some of these high school games, because half the time the rosters aren't correct from the previous year or something. So I'll bring a roster if I've seen the team before and just make sure that everything kind of checks out.
So what they've done it all, now everyone's gotten rid of all the the fancy paperback programs, and now they just do inserts and whatnot, and some teams do just online versions of the program. I know at Auburn they do they hand out the roster cards. Is that what they do at State, or do they hand out roster cards for the fans at State, or is that only for media members?
I think it's only for media members. We get the full legal paper card that's got the 2 deep on it, and then we get the opposing team's notes too. But as far as what they hand out to fans, I think it is only a digital copy of the program now. They did that to try and kind of cut down on paper waste and everything like that.
Yes. So do you have a sporting event that is on your bucket list?
Rose Bowl. Rose Bowl's on the bucket list. A game in Cameron Indoor, a Duke game in Cameron Indoor. I want to see the Crazies. A game at Indiana. I want to go to a basketball game at Indiana in Assembly Hall. And then the Super Bowl is not high on mine. I could take or leave the Super Bowl. NBA Finals. I want to go to an NBA Finals. I want to cover an NBA Finals. But for me in college football, it's a Rose Bowl. It's a granddaddy of them all. It's a beautiful stadium. And a lot of history in there. So Rose Bowl is probably my number one for college football.
Did Mississippi State make it to a bowl game this year, or did they just miss out?
They just missed out. So they finished 5-7, and then there were some 5-7 teams that were in consideration to go to a bowl game. Mississippi State wound up being the very last team to be left out of a bowl game. So they did not make one. They snapped a 13-year bowl streak this year. So a little bit of history made in the wrong way. But nonetheless, it's given Jeff Lebby a lot of time to hit the recruiting trail, which I think was a good decision.
Wait, Jeff Lebby? Wait, Lebby or Levy?
Lebby, Lebby.
Because isn't there a guy by the name of Jeff Levy on ESPN or something? I don't know.
There is, yeah.
So different guy?
Yeah, different guy. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jeff Lebby, the Mississippi State's new coach, was the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. So out of all your experiences, what was the greatest moment or memory?
Oh, national championship in 2021 for the baseball team. That was a great time. That was fantastic. I was in Starkville for one game of it and then came home to be with my family for another game of it. I wish I could have been in Omaha, but they weren't credentialing student journalists at that time because of COVID. So it was an experience.
Speaking of credentials, do you get credentials from every game that you go to?
Yeah. So the credentials at Mississippi State are now paper. They're 1-game passes. Now for baseball season, we may get a hard card, but in the work I've done for the AP, we got hard cards, and that was for the SWAC championship. So,
Mr. Marlar, I know you're probably very sentimental about your things, as am I. But if you're looking for someone to give your credentials to, I'll take them. But then again, I understand if you're sentimental about your.
You're good. I sent you that SWAC championship when I thought I did. I'm so. If I get another, I usually hand my press passes out to either kids that are at the game, kids that come up to the players after the game, something like that. Or if I get some hard cards, I send them your way. So I haven't gotten a hard card in a while. But if I get a hard card, I'll send it to you.
Oh, I don't mind. I don't mind just regular like hard cards or paper. It doesn't matter.
Gotcha. Hey, I'll send you some. I use them to decorate my Christmas tree with. I use them to decorate my Christmas tree. So I've got a bunch I'll be taking down in a little bit. I'll send you all of them.
Oh, I mean, you don't have to. I understand if you're very sentimental about certain things. I am too.
I'll get more.
But I'm sorry. I really got to stop asking for stuff. But what I'm saying is, if you don't want to part ways with them, you don't have to. I understand I understand.
I'll get more. I promise. If I stop getting credentials, we've got a bigger problem. You can have all of them you want.
So, okay. So what you're saying is you'll send them to me once you're done using them?
Absolutely.
Or after the game or whatnot? I'm
Absolutely.
sorry. Oh, I gotta stop. I did. We had an interview yesterday with the Auburn public address announcer, and I was just asking him, like for stuff, and then I gotta stop doing that. But anyways, moving on.
You guys are gonna have to add on a new room for all the merch you're gonna get.
Here's it. So, and then another question. Another thing I'm collecting, and this is probably a little bit more like understandable, socks. So my question to you, do they actually, like, are the socks at Mississippi State, do they have like Mississippi State logos on them or whatnot, or are they just standard plain white socks?
The player socks, I think, are just standard Adidas socks. I'm not sure. I don't get the player socks. That'd be cool, though. That'd be cool.
All right. So here's a 2-part question for you. What is your favorite stadium? Okay. Unbiased opinion. Favorite stadium you visited as a fan?
As a fan?
In your unbiased opinion.
Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta, where the Falcons play.
Oh,
it's an amazing stadium. It's beautiful. It's well laid out. The concourse is gorgeous. It's up there. Another Atlanta stadium, though, is also up there. Phillips Arena. I actually went there this weekend. It's beautiful.
Wait. For the holiday hoops giving against Tulane, right?
Yep.
That was a butt whooping. I was there too.
That was an old fashioned butt whooping, is what that was.
Matter of fact,
that was the best
because
played all season.
Because Auburn was playing. I don't know if you stayed for the next game, but Auburn played Indiana, and like Indiana started out hot. Like they had made like 4 threes in a row. Indiana did, but Auburn ended up smacking the living you know what out of them. But like,
Auburn's a really good team. But State has those 2 losses on the resume. However, they're about to get an all SEC forward back. They just dominated Tulane this weekend. So I think that as SEC play gets rolling, Mississippi State will start to emerge as one of those kind of top 4 teams in the SEC.
Number 13 on Mississippi State, I think it is. He's an absolute dog. And
Josh
by dog,
Hubbard?
I mean... Or some guy, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, because like when we had got to the state, like the arena, like we had gotten there middle of the first half because the game started at 11:30, which I still don't know why, but like it was already like 24-2 by the time we had gotten there.
Yeah.
So I said,
I didn't know you were in town. I would have gotten lunch or something if I knew you were in town. I was in Atlanta.
No. I actually live in Marietta, so.
Yeah, I knew. I didn't know you were. I knew you lived in Marietta. I didn't know you were going to be at Phillips though. That's awesome.
It's actually State Farm now.
Or State Farm, yeah, State Farm.
The thing is, we were
Phillips Arena.
Oh, I get that, but the thing is, we were there for the Auburn game afterwards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
no, I stayed for that one. I was down on the floor for that.
Holy did you see? Like Indiana, like they had some 3-point shooters. And
they always do. And one thing Indiana's going to do is shoot the ball well. They're always going to shoot the ball well. But Auburn's a really physical basketball team, and they've really physical guard play. Katie Johnson is one of the most fun players in the country to watch play basketball. So I figured Auburn would take that one. I thought it'd be a little closer than it was, but Auburn walked away from that one with an impressive win.
I don't know, because I don't know if you saw the game before that for Auburn, but they lost to Appalachian State. And yes,
I did see that.
And while we're on the subject of losses that we should have won, the football team lost to friggin' New Mexico State.
That they did.
New
Mexico State had a good season this year. New Mexico State was a good football team.
Their quarterback is, and like that kid's going places. Like he's gonna go into the NFL and start a game one day, and people are gonna be like, "Where the heck did that boy go to college?" And people are gonna say New Mexico State, and they're gonna be like, "What?" But anyways, so do you have any advice for me since I wanted to get into broadcasting?
Exactly what you're doing. Go out on your own, do your own thing. March to the beat of your own drum, man. That's the best way to do it. Be authentic. If you're curious about something, ask questions about it. If you're sure about something, double down on it. Stick to your guns. Just be you. And if you put yourself out there and you're trying to be somebody else, then people are going to be able to sense that. So be you, be yourself, and keep doing what you do, man. You're killing it.
Oh, by the way, I do need to give a shout out to someone. Are you by any, or I guess a group of people? Are you familiar with Take 30 News, the student newscast of Mississippi State?
That's a great crew over there at Take 30.
Oh yeah, because like I got to visit their studios when I was down there for Auburn, and I got to do a little bit, and I got to read the sports, and I got to do read the sports section, So
the sports script. Nah, Take 30 is great. Victoria Bailey and her team, they do some fantastic work.
So all the people like I know that every time a new school year starts, it's always a different crew. Does that mean like so? Is that because like everyone graduates or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah, so in the broadcast department at Mississippi State, Take 30 News is your capstone class. So it's the last class you take before you graduate. So every year, it's a new cycle of people. Every semester, it's a new cycle of people. And they have a TA that helps with that class. I'm very close with the TA now. Her name is Lakin Laird, and she and Miss Bailey do fantastic work over at Take 30. They got a great crew this year. They were able to do some really cool stuff. So I'm going to ask our last question, and then I have someone I want you to meet, if you don't mind. All right. Absolutely.
So on this podcast, we are all sports fanatics. So the last question we ask, as a fan, what do you think is the all-time greatest moment in sports?
The greatest moment in sports? Oh, man. Oh, that's a tough one. Gosh. I'm sure the Miracle on Ice has been said before, so I won't use it.
Yeah. Like either, yeah.
Has anybody talked about the Redeem team?
Was that the team that like after the Dream Team, like they lost that was that the team in the middle of the Dream Team and also the team after the Dream Team?
That was the team that looks like we have a visitor. That was the team that LeBron, Carmelo, and everybody was on. Kobe was on that team with Dwayne Wade. That was the team that they had lost gold the year before, or the Olympics before, and were out to get it back. So I always like to say, as a biased basketball fan, the Redeem team is a cool moment for me. It's one of the few I've been able to witness in person, or not in person, but kind of live. So that one's definitely up there. That was definitely up there. Messi winning the World Cup again would be up there. He finally got one. Mm-hmm. But there's very few that kind of impact the globe, I feel like, and that's some of them.
So I'm going to introduce my guest, and I'm going to sign off. So this is my this is my service dog Toto. He's a 3-year-old golden doodle, and no, he's not named after the Wizard of Oz. He's named after the band from the 80s, probably before your time. But anyways,
yeah, a little bit before my time.
He goes to if my parents are at a game, he's at a game too. So there was so 2 years ago in the 2021 Iron Bowl, things started happening. Everyone started cheering, and Toto started barking. And there was a Bama fan near us, and he looks at us and says, "I'm a Bama fan, but that's the greatest thing I've ever seen."
There you go. No, man, if you bring Toto to Starkville, we'll have to meet.
Of course I will. All right. I'll try. It's kind of because I think a drive to Starkville is about 6 hours from Marietta, Georgia, or I don't know. Oh, and I do have another question. Do you remember ex-Mississippi State basketball coach Ben Howland?
Oh, I remember Ben Howland well.
Did he get the boot, or did he retire from old age?
That was a mutual decision. If Ben Howland could have kept coaching, he would have. But State was about tired of not delivering on expectations. So when he recruited the portal really well one year. His last year, Iverson Molinar was on that team, and got Garrison Brooks there as well with Tolu Smith. That was supposed to be a tournament team. And when he couldn't get them there, they showed him the door, and he agreed to walk out.
I think Garrison Brooks is in the NBA now.
Yeah, he should be. Garrison's a fantastic player. He's got a fantastic head for the game. I believe he's in the G League, tearing it up. Garrison had a fantastic game when he was at Mississippi State as far as what he could do on the floor. I personally think that a lot of coaching held that team back.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Marlar. All right, Fanatics, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of The Fan and Fanatic. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for all of your support. Don't forget to follow or subscribe, or whatever your podcast app says to do. And you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For my broadcast partner, Ryan Grelecki, this is Parker Grelecki saying, game, set, match.